Hey everybody, what's up? It's Andrew Martin with your November 2017 energy transmission. Happy November. Here I am in San Francisco in my new space. This is my first official video from my new apartment. Welcome to my kitchen. The lighting is really good here, so that's why I have the camera set up here. My housemate has birdies, so you may hear them cheeping and chirping and making noise in the background. They're the sweetest things. They're so cute. Although I'm surprised they're being quite silent right now, but who knows, that could change. And I just, honestly, I don't even know, I don't even know where to begin. The past couple of weeks have been crazy for me. And I know if they're crazy for me, then they're crazy for at least some other people too. So really this energy transmission is me sharing some insights with you and posing some questions and giving some information from a perspective that hopefully can help us shift. But first, before we jump into it, I have a couple of announcements really quick. The first one is the return of the Oracle cards. This is my favorite deck. You can see it's well loved. The foil's even rubbed off. This is the John Holland Psychic Tarot. Mwah. I love these cards. And I am super excited to be offering Oracle card readings again. It just came to me out of nowhere today, like a bolt out of the blue, and I'll probably talk a little bit about it in this video today as to sort of my rationalization and reason about why I decided to start doing it again. But I'm really, really excited. I love divination tools. Oracle cards are my favorite. This is my favorite deck, and I haven't done them in a long time. It's been at least a year since I've done Oracle cards as a service. I'm still doing my energy work services, but now I also am offering the Oracle card services. So go to the link that I will put in the description, andrewmartin.energy/sessions, and we can read all about them, and then you'll see the booking, the button to book your appointment, your Oracle card reading. Also, let me just look at my calendar real quick. November 16th and 17th, I'm going to be in LA again. So Thursday the 16th at the House of Intuition, I will be doing energy work sessions there. I'm going to put the description, or I'll put the contact info in the description so you contact them directly to sign up. And then Friday the 17th is going to be my 2-hour event from 7 to 9 p.m. at the House of Intuition, the location on Sunset at the Temple of Intuition, which is freshly remodeled and looks amazing. And the event is the Heart Portal Activation, and I am really excited about these. I love doing the portal activations. They are so powerful and coming together as a collective to really open up the space and anchor in the energies, and it's gonna be awesome. Anytime that we do any heart work in group sessions, it's always powerful and always really next level. So I'm really looking forward to that. But on with the video. I don't really know where else to begin other than to be completely honest and tell you that the past couple of weeks for me have been really difficult. Personally, I've been in all sorts of funky places just mentally, and I've been off my game, and I've been out of my center, and I've been projecting into the future and stuck in the past, and I've been worried, and I've been anxious, and I've been discontent, and I've been frustrated. I had 2 events that were scheduled in November, 2 online events on November 5th and November 11th, both of which have been canceled. Part of it was because I had scheduling conflicts and I had completely forgotten about a prior commitment that I had made on the 11th. And then the one on the 5th, it just wasn't getting a response. And I found myself really, really frustrated because I get requests all the time from people saying, hey, do more online events. I missed the online events. And here I am offering them up and nobody fucking signs up. And I found myself getting really, really angry and really frustrated. And then, personally, I've had some stuff going on in my life with, I've always been open about, my love life and my sex life, and that I'd been recently celibate for the past 2 years, and that celibacy recently ended. So now I have all these questions about like, okay, what place does sex hold in my life, and intimacy and relationships, and can I be in a sexual, physical relationship and also create a space for, a heart centered love, union, partner relationship, or can I have sex without love? Is that something that I want anymore? And no judgment on anybody who's doing what they do your thing, it's up to you. But contending with some really, really big questions for myself and trying to figure out, and then professionally, like, what's next? I've got the gay thing, the podcast that I'm doing with my friend Ryan, that's amazing, and that's been super, super satisfying, and that's growing and evolving. And then I've got my own thing with the Andrew Martin Energy and the events and the live events and the online events and the sessions, and there's just been so much. And then moving again for the 3rd time or 4th time this year, I think maybe it was the 3rd time, yeah, so 3rd time in less than a year. And really contending with, okay, but I'm only here now for 6 months before I go to LA. And it's just, there's been so many things that have been unresolved. And I am not a person who really likes to be in the unknown. I am okay when some things are sort of a work in progress, or when some things are still sort of unfinished and half-baked. But when everything in my life is unfinished and nothing in my life is ready to be say, okay, this is done now and I can put this on the shelf or let this, you know, go and do its thing. And it's been driving me crazy. I have been so twisted and so turned inside out, it has made me crazy. In the past couple of days, I have found myself in dark places mentally, and not scary, but just places of really, really self-defeating thoughts, and really angry, and really confused and lost and questioning, like, you know, worthiness and all of those things. And I haven't been in this place in a long time. Now, part of this I know is that there's some transmutation happening for the clearing, for the collective again. And myself and many of you who are watching this have been sort of frequency holders for this lifetime, and we just have the, you know, the dubious distinction of being the ones who are like the Brita filters for the energy of the collective. And right now there's a lot going on energetically for the collective that needs clearing, and so I have been doing that. And that always requires me to sort of go into sort of power down mode, and just really self-care is huge. Really making sure that I am in my zone and in my place and centered and balanced so that that can happen. And I haven't really been in my place, so that's made it even more difficult. But even bigger than that has been the return to realizing and remembering, and I wrote this down and I want to make sure that I give it its credence, or give it its due, that I honor this thought that came through. And this is not new, but this year has been nothing but level up, level up, level up, expand, grow, collapse, rebuild, collapse, rebuild. It has been a constant state of flux and a constant state of transformation and a constant state of transmutation, and nothing has stayed put for very long. And every time there's a new level up or a new expansion, the mind must release another level of story, which is just control. The only reason the mind tells a story is because it wants to assert and exert some control on the circumstances and say, okay, this is who Andrew is, and when Andrew does A plus B, he gets C. And the next iteration, or the next beginning, or the next ending, or the next project, or the next version of ourselves and our life and our experience requires fluidity and surrender of control. It's not an option. It is non-negotiable that we can't get up to this sort of new level. And I'm making it very linear and sort of oversimplifying it, because it's not necessarily up or forward. It's all of it, right? It's up, it's forward, it's backwards, it's sideways. We're inflating, right? We're like a sphere that's inflating. So we're moving in all directions all of the time. And we must let go of control, because if I have a parameter, if I have a box and a container that is very rigid and saying, this is my life and this is how I do it and this is what I do, then that balloon can't inflate beyond that control. So the destruction of that is required. And that destruction used to happen, like we would start our awakening and the life would fall apart, but then it would be a cycle, right? And I've talked about this, but I haven't been in this cycle for a long time, where it's, you know, like every 6 to 9 months we would have a level up, and then we would come back to equilibrium, and then it would happen again. But man, it is happening like this. It is like every minute of every day and every moment sometimes is a destruction and a collapse and a reemergence and a rebirth. We've got to let go of the old shape and the old construct, letting it collapse so that it can reform, letting the old construct collapse so the energy that was holding the construct up can be released. And then that energy can be reformed and transformed and transmuted into something else. And when the mind doesn't have a model, when the mind doesn't have a story, because we are moving into a new energetic place, and all of a sudden the mind goes, holy fuck, I don't know what this place is. I've never been here before, right? It's like people say, act your age. How? I've never been this age before. the mind automatically goes into control mode. When it doesn't have a model, it immediately tries to seek the thing that it used to do and either do some version of that or kind of cobble together a story or a mechanism to allow it to feel safe and allow it to feel in control. So the past couple of days have been me really sitting with this. And going into meditation this morning, I was like, all right, what is this? Because I can't fucking be here anymore. I'm going crazy. And I mean here in that energetic space, it's making me nuts. And I don't feel good. I don't feel happy. I feel depleted. I feel low. I feel tangled, and I don't like it. And the answer that came was very simple, as it always is. And the answer was, let it all go. Let it all go. Let it all go. And when you let it all go, what happens is the grace of the innocence of who and what you are, the true essence of who and what you are, can then enter. When you let the structure of the belief or the requirement or the story, when you let it fall, you are immediately met by the grace of your innocence. And when I say innocence and when I say essence, I mean the truth of who you are. Beyond the story of yourself as the human, beyond the story of yourself in this lifetime. The essence, which is childlike and infinite and pure and curious and loving and joyful. And there's an ease to it. And there's an effortlessness to that version of self, that true core nugget that is eternal and infinite and transcends all limitation and all boundaries. That self then enters, and that energy comes in, and it changes everything. And we can then immediately go into observation of our life. We can go into observation mode of our experience. And observation creates stillness. Immediately when I stop trying to fix it or wrestle it or squeeze clarity or understanding out of it, right? It's like I'm just wringing it, trying to get an answer. And that creates suffering. But if I just let go and go into observation mode, immediately I create stillness. And these are the questions that emerged for me. And these are the questions I want to share with you. Who are you without the belief that there's something wrong? Who are you without the story that either you inherited or adopted, that you are broken, that you need to be somewhere different or doing something else in order to be complete and happy and fulfilled? Who are you without the belief that your desires and the things you want are sinful, are shameful, are something to be embarrassed about or something to hide? Who are you without the idea that your relationship or your job or your physical experience is the cause or the root of misery or suffering or unhappiness? Who are you without these beliefs that say, I can only go this far, I can only do this much, I can only have this much, right? I can't have it all. I can only have this much. And it is not to say that this question doesn't discount the experience, right? If I'm in pain, if I'm unhappy, if I'm in an unhealthy relationship, if I really am just fucking miserable in my job, asking these questions doesn't mean that I am not still in this situation. But what it does mean is I am opening up the door to remember the truth, which is there is an aspect of me that has a level of awareness that is far greater than anything that I can perceive from my small, limited, pain-filled place. And when I ask those questions, you know, for me, part of it has been, you know, I've always been open about my celibacy and my sexual compulsion in the past, and I was celibate for 2 years. As of November, which is today, it would have been 2 years. And I broke that celibacy a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago, just because I was like, why am I still deciding to be celibate? I don't really think I need to be celibate anymore. At one point it served me, and now it doesn't really serve me. So I want to explore that again. You know, what does sex mean for me now? And what place does it hold in my life and in my experience? And so sitting with these questions, all of a sudden there's this fear that my desires now are something that I can't trust. Because in the past, my desires got me into some not so great situations. My desires created some pretty unhealthy boundaries for me. But asking myself, who am I without the story that Andrew has a problem with sex? Or who am I without the story that Andrew's desires are unhealthy or something that he should sort of be cautious about? And the minute that I asked that question, this innocence arose, and it said, I'm just curious to know. What is it like to engage someone from a different perspective? What is it like if you didn't have to choose a heart-centered connection or a physical connection? What if you could have both? What if you don't really want to have sex without love? And it doesn't mean I have to be marrying the person I'm having sex with, but to be having sex with and being intimate with someone that I can have a heart-centered connection with, so that I feel there's a lot of integrity there, and it's authentic and it's real, and I'm connected. And it's not about a power struggle. And it's not about a negotiation or this transactional relationship of, if I do this, then I'll get that. Or if I do this, then I'll feel better, right? And without all of that convoluted, complicated stuff, it's simply this desire to connect. And this desire to express myself physically. And remembering when I was a kid growing up in Wyoming, and I was afraid, and I didn't have a healthy way to express myself sexually, or a way that felt safe, because I was in the closet and I was in an environment where I didn't feel safe being open and honest about who I am. And that part of me may always be present, right? That very sensitive, very afraid, very vulnerable 12-year-old, 13-year-old. When I started having my sexual awakening, he will always be present within me, but his story is not necessarily the real story anymore. So who am I without that belief? And who am I without, who am I? And this is a big one for me professionally. Who am I? Who was I before I decided that it was Andrew Martin energy, and that this was a job, and that this was a career, and that I was responsible, and that I was accountable, and that I had to be successful, and that I had to get this many bookings and make this much money and have this many clients and do this thing and have this image and this profile and this brand? And just getting back to basics. Just getting back to the simplicity of the essence of the true self, which was, I just want to serve. I just want to serve. I just want to help people. And that's why I've gone back to the oracle cards, because it's fun. I like the oracle cards. They're a lot of fun. I have missed doing it. And yes, paying the rent and paying the bills and having a plan and having a goal, and all of those things are important, but not if what I'm doing doesn't allow the essence and the innocence and the purity of myself to be present. Who are you? Who were you before you decided that your job was so shitty and that it was such a burden? Who were you before your relationship went sour? Who were you before you decided that the only time that you could ever be fully satisfied and fully complete was when you were in a relationship? Who were you before you decided that your body was hideous or ugly or unlovable or unattractive? Who were you before you decided to separate yourself from yourself and then spend all of this time and energy trying to fill that void with something else? Sex, drugs, rock and roll, shopping, achievement, accolades, things, stuff, likes, shares, regram. You know what I mean? Like, so much of this journey that we call ascension, this awakening journey, this journey of knowing ourselves more deeply and more fully is about reunion. To me, that's the fundamental thing under all of it, is it's about reunion. It is about coming to peace with ourselves, coming to meeting with ourselves, coming to love with ourselves, coming to acceptance and compassion with ourselves. And understanding that anything, whether it's a story or a belief or a choice or an action, because the choice and the action is always informed by a story or a belief. Anything that separates me from myself and puts me in an adversarial relationship with myself and with my life is not the choice I want to make, because it doesn't feel good to me. So when I wake up in the morning and I sit down and I say, how can I best serve? Not how can I get more likes, not how can I get more subscribers, not how can I book more or make more money or get more follows or whatever, not any of that. Just how can I serve, and how can I do it joyfully? And how can I do it with a sense of ease? And how can I do it from that place of innocence of, I'm doing it because I just fucking love to do it. And what I know is that the modern human doesn't like mystery, right? We don't like it when it's in the unknown. We don't like it when it's shrouded in the, like, it's not quite ready yet, or you don't know yet, or you're just gonna figure out when you get there. We like to have an answer. We like to have a model. We like to have a method, and those things are important, right? I need the functioning model and recipe in order to make something, right? In order to take it into physicality and turn it into something, I need a set of instructions. But instructions for the sake of having instructions, container just for the sake of container, is empty. And if I even ask the question, who was I before I decided that I needed things to be in this way and in this order before I could be happy and successful? I was the guy that was just really excited to have the freedom of creating. I was the essence that sought form so that it could know itself in a way that it had never known itself before. So the return of the grace of innocence is just letting it all go. Just drop the bullshit. Drop the story, drop the worries, drop the anxiety, drop the fears. And I'm saying this to myself just as much as I am saying this to you. I am with you 100% right now. So who am I without these beliefs of limitation? Who was I before I decided that it was a struggle, or that it was difficult, or that it was going to be hard, or that it wasn't going to work out the way that I wanted it to, or that it was going to be, here we go again, just another trip around the sun, doing the same old shit, and here we go again. And it's not always about having the answers. Sometimes it's about living the question and understanding that when the answer is there and formed and ready, it pops up and shows itself to you. So that's it. Let it all go. Live the questions. Allow yourself to go still so that you can go into observer mode and allow that essence to come in. Because that essence is you. It loves you. It is love. It has compassion for you because it is compassion. It supports you because it is supportive. It doesn't see limitation because it is infinite. And let it remind you of who you are and who you were before you allowed these beliefs and these stories to separate you from it. And that pain of the separation from the truth is so often what we're trying to numb or to fix, when all we have to do is let go and return to ourself. And let that innocence descend and reveal itself. And remind you of who you were before you decided who you weren't. That's it. Thank you for watching. I love you. Take care. Mwah.